Welcome back to the Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar Podcast. I'm your host, Jacob, Chief Content Producer and Writer of jakestake.com, a pop culture entertainment news website. It is episode 70, and I want to welcome a very cool singer-songwriter. He's a Spotify verified artist with over 12,650 Facebook fans. Please help me welcome, all the way in Los Angeles, Eric Dash.
Thank you, Jacob. Nice to meet everybody, and I'm glad to be here.
Glad to have you here. So let's get started. So when did you get interested in music, and how did that passion evolve into the desire to pursue a career in the recording industry?
I got interested in music probably when I was very little, 4 or 5 years old kind of deal. And my father played piano. He was a guitar player more so than piano, but he played, he noodled on the piano, and he played a bunch of Santana, and we'd play records all the time in the car, like Sheryl Crow or REM or whatever he was playing. And my mother loved music as well, so it was definitely a musical house I grew up in. And I started writing songs when I was like 8 years old with my brother. We were doing parody versions of NSYNC songs and other songs because we loved Weird Al Yankovic. We thought he was so funny. And yeah, that's how I kind of started. And I really, really got serious about it when I was like 12 or 13. Because I was playing piano when I was like, 7, 8 years old in lessons. But then I started playing guitar when I was 12, 13 because I was, I actually was a little bit intimidated by guitar because I watched my dad play and he was so good at it. And I didn't want to mess it up. So I didn't really touch it until later. But so when I started playing guitar, I started writing more songs, like singer-songwriter songs. And I started a band. Remember, we got into this band none of us knew how to play our instruments. We were all just learning. We were so bad. And it was called Gutter Punk.
That's an interesting name.
Yeah, exactly. We were playing in the drummer's basement, and the parents probably were just like, man, they suck. And we were having the most fun ever, and I wanted to be a rock star. I was like, this is like the coolest thing ever, and I was like convinced that this is my destiny. I remember playing and just being into it. I was 12, 13 years old, and I never really looked back after that. I always wrote songs. I went into other bands, some with same players, some with different players. And I started doing a solo thing later on in high school with my own band. We just called it Dash. And I still played in college. And then I just it was a love. I kept falling in love with different styles of music and tons of posters all over my room. And it was just, I never thought that I would be a producer or an engineer. Like that was like not even fathomable until like a couple years ago, to tell you the truth. I didn't think that was even an option. I was always just like a singer-songwriter writer. I was a guitar player writer. That's it. So it's definitely, I didn't really understand. Like I'm so nerdy about microphones now. Like I love different sounds. I never thought that I'd feel that way about a microphone or like just a piece of audio in general. So it definitely took a different route, and you grow. But yeah, I never knew that this love was going to get this deep, but that's how it started.
Awesome. So who are your musical influences, and how do they influence your sound?
How do they influence my sound, and well, first off, John Mayer is a massive influence for me. I've never met him. John, if you're listening, I would love to meet you. You're the man. He's great songwriter, great player, great all of it. He's so smart about his lyrical approach. And I have, for a while, I just wanted to, I wanted to be John Mayer. As a kid, I was just like, wow, this guy's amazing. And they influence my sound a lot, because when you play a song and you learn a cover, it kind of becomes a part of you. And I learned a lot of his songs. And I was trying to go note for note with John Mayer. And he's really, really good. So it's hard to play, they're not very simple. And, I loved Dave Matthews. So I learned a lot of Dave Matthews songs. And I think that John definitely got a lot from Dave Matthews as well. And I love Clapton, and B.B. King and Hendrix and the Chili Peppers, so John Frusciante and Anthony Kiedis and Flea and like Chad Smith, all of them. Like these guys, they've all, I could go down a list. Like Fleetwood Mac, I'm a massive Fleetwood Mac fan, and Lindsey Buckingham, so I've learned a lot of his songs. And I feel like they all influence your sound just because, like you said, they become a part of you when you learn it. And then every time I learn a song, I kind of use it as an influence for me, like how my hand is moving and how my fingers feel the strings and how they're attacking things and how I want to attack it on this next song in terms of feeling. And it definitely changes the way that you write and creates, new things for you.
Awesome. Now, you are described as a do-it-yourself artist. So what have been some of the challenges that you have faced being a do-it-yourself artist, and how have you in the industry right now, and how have you overcome those obstacles?
Well, everything is a challenge, Jake. That's like, just living is a challenge as a do-it-yourself artist. I think any do-it-yourself artist is going to be like, well, that's true. But I think the way to overcome the obstacles is patience. You have one obstacle and you look at it as the end of the world and you get through it and then you learn for the next time, but then you see the next obstacle. I had some obstacles, like for most recently, like, you have an issue finding a mixing engineer, and it's like it can take the longest time to find someone that you love. And then when you find one, it's like, wow, this guy really gets me. It's like, okay, that obstacle is done. Or like an obstacle would be a song isn't working and you try million different ways and you realize that you have to reference some songs that are like it to see what they did and how they did it because they were so smart about it. It's like, oh, that makes sense. That make like the way that they made that work. Or, there's the amount of like feeling is an obstacle. Like when the balance between timing and untiming and natural. Like, in many records today, a lot of it is so quantized. It's all perfectly on a grid. And there is a lack of feeling when things are perfectly on a grid. So understanding the balance between gridding and keeping things loose was a really big obstacle for me. So there's a lot of different obstacles that you go through when you're learning to make music as a do-it-yourself artist. And, I've been writing though since I'm like 8 years old. So writing it for me really isn't an obstacle. Like I definitely do something that's very specific in terms of for my own music, but like I don't really think it's that. I think it's very simple for me. If you're doing a pop song and you have a loop, you do top line, and if you have a direction, then you do it in that direction. It's a matter of like singing style, and it's a matter of like, subject matter, and it's not, I don't think it's that complicated, but that's because I've been doing it for so long. And I definitely will come out with something that's me at the end of it, even if I'm doing it in a different vein, but it doesn't mean it's for everybody, but I think that you write a song and the song is what it is, and then you move on. You can't like get too attached. But I think the hardest part is like doing something that you really don't know what you're doing. You're just like throwing darts at a wall. That's the hardest stuff. And so that's the struggle.
I definitely sympathize with you on that because I've been doing the podcast for almost a year, and it is definitely be a challenge doing everything by yourself.
Yeah, it's really hard whenever you're doing anything new, and even when you're doing some of the old stuff. Like every once in a while, life will throw a zinger at you, and you have to like bend backwards to figure out what you have to go backwards to go forwards, kind of deal, and you get stronger by the end of it. But like, it's always a challenge. There's always something that you have to work on. It's never perfect, and it's always, there's always something to strive for. And it's just it's a matter of patience. You know what I mean? Just like you said with this, I'm sure you've had a lot of patience. Like, okay, you get through this one, and then let's move on to the next kind of deal.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's get back to music. So earlier this year, you had the opportunity to organize several different streaming charity services for MusiCares COVID Relief. So what did it mean to you to be a part of these events?
Well, I was doing a couple of them. We didn't do as we did like, you know, a little bit, but we didn't end up finishing actually a lot of it. Like they actually, a lot of them fell through. I was trying to like get together with this this house during COVID. You know, we did one streaming thing where, you know, trying to raise money, and it didn't really work out. And I tried, but like, you know, I was watching the Post Malone thing, how he did it for Nirvana, to be honest with you. And he did that whole the streaming for the Nirvana songs and the like all. Did you see that? How he did the band thing in his house?
I did not have the opportunity to stream to look at that, but I did hear a lot of really good things about Post Malone's Nirvana tribute.
Yeah, they were so great. You know, I'm so glad that he does them. Like he comes from the rock world, even though he's in the hip hop scene. Like he does love that rock music, and there needs to be an artist that's famous that does it. But I tried to do something like that, and it fell through because I was trying to do it with a like, you know, first off, he has this massive house and recording space. You know what I mean? It's one he can do that and separate from each other. You know, and that's I didn't have that, so I was trying to find an outdoor place to record it, and I found a place, but they did not want to do it because it's actually like a party house, and they did not want to be on the scene. And I was like trying to tell them it was for COVID relief, and I want to help MusiCares, and they just didn't care. So I won't name their name, but you know, I was really trying to find a place, and it was really hard. And I was putting that together for like a month, and like everything fell through because everyone kept on bailing because of COVID. Everyone was scared. And we were about to go like finish up the deal with it, and there was some country artist that came out. I forget what his name is, but he did a show, and the Chainsmokers did a show in like in the Hamptons, and this country artist did a show, and there were no masks at either, and they got so much bad press for it that everybody was freaking out. Like last second was like, let's not do the show. It doesn't matter. It's just gonna be bad press. It doesn't even matter if you're trying to do something good. So everyone kind of, I would still love to do it because a lot of my friends are struggling, and it's not an easy struggle. So I need to get on that. But when we sent out that information, I was in the midst of building out the show, and we were about to press go on it, and then all of it fell apart. So we have to change that information.
Well, hopefully you have the opportunity to do that in the future, and I definitely think you'd be hopefully some people, worthy artists and musicians come and rally behind you.
Yeah, I hope so too. I really want to do that, and I've spoken to someone last week about trying again. So it's not like I've like stopped doing it. It was just like there was a moment where it was a little bit bad, and there was this bad PR everywhere for musicians that were having shows, and I feel like it might be clearing up a little bit. So I did have a conversation last week with my a friend about it, and trying to find a venue, like an outdoor space that we can make that happen.
Awesome. So let's get back to the music. So let's talk about I Just Need to Get Away. What is the story behind that song?
The story behind that song, I was so depressed. Yeah, I was just down. You know, music's tough, and music went in a different way. I was making like very, very singer-songwriter like records, and then all of a sudden like Lorde came out with Royals, and Drake was like out with Fake Love, and those were the types of records that were on the radio, and I'm still making singer-songwriter music, and it just changed so quickly. And like Spotify, I feel like the birth of trap music, you know, and just, yeah. So I didn't know what I was doing. My parents came to LA to visit me for like a belated birthday thing. And it was kind of an intervention as well. And they were telling me, hey, like, we want the best for your life, and you've been struggling, and, you know, you should probably give up on this music thing. Like it's enough already. Like you should find something that's a little bit more stable for yourself because you're like, on the edge. And I didn't disagree with them. I was bussing at a couple restaurants. I was bar backing. I was doing like really dinky production jobs whenever I can get them for like really cheap, lower than my worth for sure. Even though just a little bit more would have been great, but it was a tough time, and everybody was telling me to make pop music, but like I love pop music, but of a different time. I like super musical music, like with a band, and I went into a dark room and I had a little bit of light coming through a doorway just so I can be in a vibe, and I wrote I Just Need to Get Away, and it was all about the story of a kid that was wanted to be in bands, and it never worked out, and how bipolar I am at times, like manic and highs and lows, and just this roller coaster, which is a never-ending fright. And that's what it's about. And I feel like a lot of people, I actually wrote it right before COVID. I wrote it in like September of last year, and then it happened. It took me a while to record it, though. I didn't record it until January or the beginning of February because I wasn't sure about it. I played it out a bunch before I recorded it. I played it out live, like just me and my acoustic guitar, and people loved it. And I, after like a bunch of shows where everybody was like, "Wow, I can't wait for you," it got everyone's attention. So I thought that would be a great song to do. But and it turned out more amazing than I could have imagined because I did the entire thing in my house basically, except for the drums, which we programmed in my house. But my friend Aviv, who's an amazing drummer, he took the program drums and he played them in his rehearsal studio because it's this rehearsal studio is like it's like great for like a rough drum track or something, but like it has this really like grungy sound because it's like this just whatever room with like this mic setup that it's not a very professional, but it gets the job done kind of deal, and that's what makes it so grunge, and that's why the drums sound so perfect for it. It's just this edge to it, and it's like it's paying homage to the stuff that I really yearn for, the Weezer stuff and the Foo Fighters and the Nirvana stuff that I really like. My soul kind of like wishes was around today, or someone like. I want space for rock music. It's still, it's pop, and I think that a lot of the music today is great, but I just like space for everything. So that's how it came around.
And I think that's a really good idea. And speaking, you mentioned a lot of your like Chili Peppers and Post Malone. Who are your dreams collaborators? If you had the opportunity to say, let me work with the singer-songwriter and producer, and how would they, and you didn't have to go through any agency. You just went directly for them. Who are they, and how would they enhance your sound?
I mean, honestly, if it's a pop star we're talking about, if I'm like someone like that, I would love to collaborate with Post or with Bieber. Actually, I actually love Bieber. I love them both. I think they're both amazing, and I think that who else would I love to work with? A Clean Bandit, awesome. I don't stay up on the charts as much as I should, but like I love this. I heard a new artist the other day named Hardy, and he's in the country world, and I fucking love him. He's so good. He's so good. I'm just beyond elated listening to his music, and it makes me want to do country music. And I'm doing a country record for another artist right now, and it makes me want to make a country album for myself because country is still a thing, and I would love to collaborate with Casey Musgraves and Brandi Carlile. Oh my God, they are phenomenal.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Did you see Diplo had a country album earlier this year?
Yeah, you know what? I literally had an artist reference that the other day, how they want to make like a Diplo country kind of record. And yeah, country's a thing right now, man. It's like, and I get it. Like, the thing is about country, it's the only, like, rock isn't dead. It's still there, but it's like, it's behind the scenes. It's like people that love rock, but it's not really given a stage right now. But country, they're not going to give up their country music. It doesn't matter how much pop becomes popular. It doesn't matter. Their country music to them is everything. And that's not going away. And you can still work with bands and have awesome musicians and do it in the studio and make real records. And that's awesome. So, like, that pumps me up. You can hear that I'm excited about it. So, like, yeah, country music is fantastic.
All righty. So I want to talk to you about Patreon because there are a lot of artists that have had success on Patreon. Like, I'm thinking of my friend Peter Hollins and the Hollins family and how he was able to do that. So how has Patreon helped expand your fans' loyalty and helped expand your brand?
Well, I just started Patreon. So if you have any tips, let me know.
I was going to ask you the same question because I'm about ready to start it as well. I'm in the process of getting, and can't believe I'm sharing this because this might be an exclusive for me because I've been thinking long and hard about having a Patreon for the Jake's Take podcast.
So, like, I don't know about Patreon yet. I'm like, I just started it. I posted it a couple times. I'm not the best with posting things out and asking for things. I think when I was like, 18, 19, 20, 21, in that range, I would have totally been way more like, hey guys, donate to my Patreon, do this, blah, blah, blah. But nowadays, I'm like, I don't want to even ask for anything from people. I just want to make music and people like it. And I don't want to fight for but I have to change that mentality. So, like, the first thing is you have to be a little bit like, relentless about posting about your Patreon and getting people to understand that you have a Patreon, like, marketing 3 times usually when they hit you with an ad, you finally understand and see the ad. You don't see it the first few times. You're not even paying attention. So I feel like you got to hit people a bunch with it. And which I have to do myself. And, I do think that it's definitely helpful to, put out things that people resonate with and then link your Patreon on it. Like, if you were, as myself, like, I don't do enough covers because, if I'm not focusing on making my own music, I am focusing on living and paying my bills. It's not about, so I don't really, I'm not only an artist. So it's like, and that's because of paying bills though. I think that I'd rather make my number one thing artistry, but it's like one of those things. You have to figure out what your fans want and figure out what they're hearing. And for you, it's podcasts. It's the interviews. So, like, find your fans with interviews and just, like, you put up the Patreon. Hey, you like this interview with this artist, blah, 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 blah. Or you heard episode 70 with Eric Dash. If you like it, donate to my Patreon so we can hear more interviews, kind of deal. I think that's the best way to do it. I mean, for me, I think the best way would be posting covers and, like, showing people behind the scenes with production. But I'm a little insecure. So even if I post something like, and people are like, oh, that's awesome. To me, I'm like, we could do better. And I don't want to post it.
I totally get that. I totally get that about being better. It takes me multiple times to get several stories on my Instagram. So you definitely have to do that. And we're all human. We're not robots.
Right. Exactly. We really are. So it takes a moment. You gotta build it too.
All righty. So I have 3 more questions to ask you. So, what are your favorite social media platforms and why do they stand out?
Well, I use Instagram most. Just because I'm comfortable with it, I'm used to it. Just post a picture, post a video of you playing. I could use TikTok more, but I don't. I should. I was thinking about, like, I just started a band with some friends, and it's, we are doing covers, and we're doing a bunch of originals too, but it's like a trio, and we're doing, like, 90s Chili Peppers kind of songs, and for the covers, and Foo Fighters and Nirvana. So we were thinking, like, maybe doing our record, but posting a bunch of covers on TikTok. I'm just like, and then the other one, I really don't use social media much. I just don't. Yeah, it's not my thing. I'd rather play my guitar and sing or work on music in the studio. Like, and if someone else takes a photo, the reason why I like Instagram, truthfully, is because if someone takes a photo of me, I'm just doing my own thing. I'm not really paying attention. I'm kind of just living my life. And if I like a picture, I'll post it. And it's like, you don't have to do anything except for post something that someone took a photo of you while you're doing your thing. Everything else feels like it's a job to me. And my job to myself is music. And that's very old school thinking that way, because like social media is part of the job now if you're being an artist, but like not for me, just because I just don't care. You know, it's like one of those things. But I think that social media is like great. It's just like, I never got that. You know what I mean? I think that some people just like go after it more with social, and every once in a while, I'll have a spurt where I'm posting and I'll feel comfortable, and then I'll go into my shell. And like, my friend messaged me the other day. She's like, you haven't posted. Are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm just working on music, and I'm not in a posting space. You know?
I know what you mean. Alrighty, so if you had the opportunity to meet with your peers who want to advance their career in the music industry, what advice would you share with them?
Wait, say that again. If I had an opportunity to meet
I meant to say, this is my bad. If you had the opportunity to meet with your fans or other singer-songwriters who are like amateur but but want to go into professional and want to advance their career in the music industry, what advice would you share with them?
There'd be a bunch of advice, but I think that what would I say to them? I don't even know. Don't do it. No, I'm just,
You're not the first artist to say that, Eric. You're not the first artist to say that.
Oh wait. Let me think. Yeah, if they really have to do it, if it's like that's a yearning in their life and they want to be an artist or they want to be something, I would say work on your craft. I would say strive for greater than always strive for greater. Don't believe that you're not capable of greater. Always strive for greater. And I would say that a really good thing to do if you really want to learn production like quickly and you're not sure how to do it, try copying other people's songs and recreating songs. Because that's what I would do. I would say try to recreate their songs from scratch without any of their sounds. Try to copy their kick drums. Try to copy the snares that they make. Try to copy the treatment that they do and how they place it in a mix. Copy everything. Copy the sound, figure it out, and get it really, really close. And then when you do it and you finish it and you get it close, it's like, okay, now you understand a little bit about what they were doing and you got into their mindset. And you can do that with songs that you love. And if you do that a bunch, you can start understanding how people construct music, and you can do it quicker than people that are just throwing darts at the wall.
Awesome. So where can my audience connect with you on social media? And also, where can they download your music?
They can connect with me on social media at Eric-Music. Even though sometimes I don't post, I'm always looking at it. I'm always liking my friends' stuff, and I'm always supporting other people. So if you like my music, please reach out and say hi. And you can find me at www.eric-.com. And you can email me eric-music@gmail.com. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. You can say hi.
Awesome. Alrighty, so guys, for more information about the Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar podcast, and if you missed an episode, head over to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Spreaker. Just type in Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar, JKES Take, JACOBELYACHAR podcast, and you'll be over there. And also, connect with me on social media. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, I'm on YouTube. All my channels are under Jacob Elyachar, JACOBELYACHAR. Also, to read my coverage on The Masked Singer and America's Got Talent, head over to, and also my new musical reviews, of course, head over to jakestake.com. Once again, it's jakes-take.com. Eric, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to talk with me today.
Thank you so much, Jake. I appreciate you having me.
Alrighty, guys. Have a great one, and thank you so much for listening.